Alright guys, TacticalRab back again today. Hope you're all doing well and enjoying your day so far. And while do we have a spicy set of topics to dive into today? Big OpTic H last night on the OpTic podcast, going rogue against Activision Blizzard, the way the CDL is being run, the developers behind the scenes as well, the pros seemingly agreeing with what he has to say, but not wanting to say too much for fear of being fined by the league. Very much intrigued to your thoughts in the comment section below. If you enjoyed the video, hitting the like button is the best thing you can do. Tell the channel reach new people, and please do subscribe as well if you have not yet already. Firstly, wanted to say this from Cruz. Unfortunate news really from this side of things, because he did some great things in the North American challenger scene last year, coming over from the Australian Pacific region. And well, as he says, unfortunately I won't be able to get back to NA for the Vanguard season at this stage. Just you know, the way of the world right now makes that really difficult. But you know, thankfully I guess this Pro-Am tournament that is going to be going on this year, I believe it is going to be the best well, the best Latin American team, the best North American team, European, and also the APAC region. The best teams of those regions going to go well, hopefully to a LAN event, even though that hasn't yet been confirmed. But there's no way they can do it online, right, with teams from Australia and Latin America and all across the world, with the all the pro teams based in North America. So they'll have to do some sort of LAN, you would think, for this. So I guess these guys still have the opportunity to be the best in their region and then get the opportunity to go to that Pro-Am event sometime in the middle of the season. But as I say, no like real announcements coming out as to exactly how that's going to be run, when it's going to be, all this type of stuff. Only well, surface level stuff for now. And this kind of goes along similar lines really as to well, what Hex is going to discuss here in a couple of minutes time about well, the way the league has been run with regard to well, how Halo have done their launch over these last couple of weeks and months, especially well, in regard to this. Of course, the kickoff major for Raleigh, 267,000 peak viewers. Everything was done right here. The storylines are fantastic. The co-streaming they had, of course, it was on Twitch as well. These are numbers that I'm pretty sure the World Championship for Call of Duty last year, we got to about 240k, something like that. I thought that was really good, to be honest, for Call of Duty, especially because most of the events in the season hadn't really topped 100k unless it was OpTic versus FaZe in a big matchup. Our championship did much better, thanks to drops and better promotion, this type of stuff. But the first event that Halo did this season eclipses that without really looking back at all. So, you know, it does really show that what good competitive support does off the launch of a game. And that's well, really what kicked off Hex to be pretty frustrated about this whole situation. So the OpTic podcast comes out last night, and Scump's on it, of course. He has a few words that he says during these kind of clips that I'll share for you guys in a couple of seconds here, mostly on the lines of like, look, you know, I've already got my checkbook out enough times to pay off them CDL fines. I'm not really getting involved in this one, right? But he does kind of agree at the end that Hex, like, you know, Hex went off here. He made some good statements for sure. I think a lot of what Hex says is right on the money, and maybe about time that someone this influential in the community is, well, an owner as he is, of course, like with a lot of influence, you would think at least, on what the CDL and Activision are hopefully doing, given like, well, his organization now under Envy as well, the OpTic Envy type merger that went through relatively recently. They obviously have a big stake in the Call of Duty League. You would imagine that they might listen to what he has to say. Whether that's the case, of course, well, it is another topic in its entirety. But I'll share a couple of clips here for you guys on what Hex has to say. It spans quite a bit of time. I'll probably cut it down to like just the gist of what Hex is trying to get across. But largely early on, talking about the fact that the Call of Duty League guys, they try their best, but they're like, well, they're forced down, unfortunately, by what the developers have to offer. It's the developers which are the problem, and that's obviously not helped by Activision wanting to protect their bottom line and not wanting to change things from what works. The lawyers as well getting involved as well also isn't ideal. And then, of course, he goes on to also talk about the fact that when the CDL was launched, they were kind of promised by the CDL salesman guys that league play would be a thing, better support would be a thing for the league, and that hasn't really materialized. So many problems that Hex sees with the league. He's understandably frustrated about the Call of Duty game that he loves and the scene that he loves for, well, so many years before a lot of these CDL guys even knew what an esport was.
Good product, good competitive settings. Whatever the competitors are, whatever the pro players are playing is something that you can play when you launch your game with no problems. We have private lobbies with Krampus. We are a second thought. Everybody at the league level, okay, everybody that works on the league product wants Call of Duty competitive to work. It is the developers that are the ones that are falling way behind it and are letting us down. Period.
Krampus was going crazy.
How is that an afterthought? How is it that they turn on this little switch, boom, okay, Krampus is going to appear here, here, and there. No thought as to what it does to private lobbies, because professionals don't use publics. They use privates. Turn that shit off. Like, we can't be an afterthought, and you can't come at us and say that you care. God damn it, you don't. It's obvious. I'm going to tell you what's the problem. The game launched in November. Okay, our first match is in January, 2 months. No league play at launch either. After year after year after year after year of people saying that it's coming, it's never coming. And I know why. I know why. They need another blip, another blip in the timeline of the year in which Call of Duty has these like moments where it's popular for a little bit, and that's what's happening. So right now they launched, it's popular. 2 months goes by, it dies out. How do we reignite the passion of the fans?
Tournaments.
Tournaments. Right? I don't like this whole thing.
They might know what they're doing then.
No, 100% they do, and it's on purpose. And look,
do you have a conspiracy on why there is no like rank play, or is there like a conspiracy at all?
Don't ask me. I ain't breaking out that checkbook. It's Christmas time. That checkbook's already been broken out.
Organizations are paying tens of millions of dollars, and that money's being used to run this thing, but there's no end in sight as to when we're going to get what we said. 2 years ago, when this thing launched, I was told that we were going to have league play because it's important. It's 3 years in. Season 3 of Call of Duty League's about to start, and there are no play. No league play. Afterthoughts. We are afterthoughts. And that's sad. It's sad because I see myself pouring so much of what we've done over the last decade into this thing. And, you know, they throw money at a problem to shut everybody up.
Seth really is not saying nothing.
He shan't.
He was just, well,
and
damn.
he shan't.
That's that curse.
Damn.
Can't forget that Christmas shit.
That's the most he'll say.
Oh, I've got enough slap on the wrist. To know who's daddy.
We need to be better.
Big old godly.
All of these Warzone events, man. Like, why are these Warzone competition events outside of the CDL? Why isn't all of these
He's about to find out.
a franchise events? I just don't get it. It's just one of those things.
You just went ham.
It's, you know what it is,
Sniper's
man?
going ham.
I'm gonna tell you why. It's just that I saw what Halo just did, and then I see like Call of Duty, who were second fiddle to Halo for so long at MLG, that once we worked our asses off to get to where we're at, we're no longer second fiddle on console or first person shooters, where we have an actual community, and then there's no reciprocation from elsewhere.
So I wanted to dive into a couple of the topics right here. First of all, when he discussed it, yes, the developers, they're so far behind what actually is required to be a competitive game, because this is the thing, the Krampus thing they discussed, right? We talked about it a few days ago. Krampus drops into the map for some reason, especially in private matches. This was just so mind-blowing to me. Like, did no one in the development team that thought Krampus was, let's say even you think Krampus, like basically this demon that spawns on the map and just runs around killing people for no reason at all. No, like, well, it's completely random, right? It's just crazy stuff. But anyway, if they even thought that was a good idea for public matches and Warzone, which I think most people would say it's not and it's annoying, like, why would that ever be a possibility to get into private matches? Was there not one person in the room that said, okay, hang on a second, like, the pro players, they use customs, like, you know, we sure that's not going to affect them or something? There was no one in the room, or at least no one had a voice loud enough to actually make that thought go through. So that already shows where the situation is. And then when he went on to say a couple of minutes later that when the CDL launched and the teams were kind of promised, like, this is what Crimsix had to say the other day, right? He was kind of like, look, like, how good was the CDL salesman? How good were these PowerPoint presentations that were coming out to these team owners saying that this is actually a good investment to be making? And I wonder if there's any legal case to be made here, right? Because some people would suggest that, like, look, if the CDL said to you that you're going to get full competitive support, league play at the start of games and this type of stuff, and, well, you don't actually have that, is there a legal case to be made? Obviously, you might not want to do that against, the organization that actually owns the league that you're operating in might not be the best thing to do. But at the same time, right, there is obviously a big frustration here, right? If you're meant to get league play and competitive support early on, the competitive support, if anything, has gone backwards, and the league play question to me is a really interesting one, right? I like what Hex has to say on the fact that, like, the reason why the league is launched late and league play is launched late as well, alongside that, is to kind of give the game a secondary boost, right? And this is always how it's been. Yeah, as he goes on to say, maybe I didn't share it specifically in the clip, but they go on to talk about the World Championship back in Advanced Warfare and pre-CWL, which is actually in the middle of the year. They used to do it in April, used to do it in March, to effectively promote the second DLC. Now, when Call of Duty competitive was just coming into force, like, that's okay, right, whatever. But nowadays you've got a proper competitive season, like, and still the fact that it's starting late in, like, mid-January time, February time, is apparently, and I can understand this to be the good reason, that they want to promote the game kind of, well, from the middle of the cycle, when things get a little bit dead into the first couple of months, they want to kind of reinvigorate the sales of the game. Now, that really shouldn't be how it's done, right? We shouldn't be using competitive Call of Duty to sell the copies of the game anymore. Competitive Call of Duty should be a key draw to the game itself. itself from launch, right? And that should be how you think about it, right? I guess from the developer perspective, that's clearly not what they think about at all. And well, league play being delayed, because that's the thing, like how hard can it realistically be? Especially because Treyarch are working on league play for this game. If they wanted to put it in, they could probably have done it way before now. But still, it drags on for so long, and I kind of buy the argument that yeah, the reason why it's delayed is completely deliberate from Activision to try and give Call of Duty a bit of a second wind in the early part of next year, and using the CDL effectively as a marketing tool. And of course, fundamentally, it is a marketing tool, but surely you've got to think about it more than just that, especially with all the players and the personalities and the teams and the organizations that are involved in making this a great thing. And other esports and other developers, like other publishers, don't tend to think of their esports in a similar way. So I can understand the frustrations. And the pro players seem to agree with what a lot of Hex has to say here. Like, obviously, Scump was kind of nodding along in the background type thing. We didn't really want to say anything specifically. And as Octane says, he's got to be careful. He's telling too much truth, right? Because, of course, people like Octane have caught some fines in the past for saying maybe similar things, right, about how the development team operates. But, you know, Hex is going to take one for the team here, I suppose, and get this stuff out there. Because I think it's, well, it's certainly from his perspective, or like from someone in his position, it's, well, it definitely carries a lot of weight, right? Obviously, these tweets and this discussion got a fair bit of traction as well. And, I mean, for example, as Scump says, like, you know, sad, I get fined for stating something completely opinion-based. This, of course, back in 2020, but kind of the thought process still carries through. That people can get fined and pro players can get fined for saying stuff like this against the league. But, you know, this is probably the side of the stuff that needs to be said to actually get anything changed, right? And whether it will, that, of course, is another question mark in its entirety. And even this comes out from Merc, right, who's not technically, I guess, re-signed yet as the caster for this season. Hopefully that third game mode works by the end of January, whatever it's called, Warzone or Control. I forgot. We'll talk about that one later today. Fingers crossed I'm hot dropping at peaks, says Octane as well. And also I noticed this, that FaZe Simp had retweeted this one. So you, of course, no, like, official statement or anything from Simp on this issue. But, like, of course, he retweeted, right, to kind of say, yes, I kind of agree with what's being said in this well, discussion right here from the Hex side of things. And just to finish out really with this from Nadeshot, right, because, I mean, this is what he had to tweet out after the Riley events concluded, and just looking at how Call of Duty is. And now with Nadeshot being an owner in the league as well, he kind of said a few days ago, I think on the Courage and Nadeshot show, that he definitely realizes he needs to get more involved with these development studios, talking to them, talking to Activision, and trying to get his point across as to how things could be orchestrated. The fact of the matter is, most of the owners in the league have really never been in esports before. If they have, they've not been, you know, they've not been in the trenches, right, as Hex and Nadeshot have for many years, and Hastra as well in a similar boat. So it's those guys that might well be key to getting these points across to Activision, for Bobby Kotick to actually come down and say to the development teams, yes, Call of Duty is no longer an afterthought. That may be what we require. But, you know, crazy story, to be honest. Very much intrigued to your thoughts on all this stuff in the comment section below. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did enjoy it, hit in a like button. Tells the YouTube gods this is a good video, and I was like, you should see it as well. And I'll grow the competitive Call of Duty community. Don't forget to, as always, take care, and I will see you next time.